Today in the Cosy Art Club, we're going to be making these greetings cards, or I'm going to show you how I make mine. This has been promised for a little while, so stick around if you want to find out how to make some beautiful greetings cards. Hello and welcome back to the Cosy Art Club on a Sunday here at Kooky Corner. We're going to be making some greetings cards. I like to keep a stack of these ready, and they're also nice to give for any occasion because I like to keep mine blank, but that is totally up to you whether you put greetings on them or whatever. They're kind of like a small piece of abstract art. But they just have that nice little special finish because they're shiny. So they're all quite different. You see them all there. Some of them got stitching on. Some of them got little bits of glitz on. You know that I do love my glitz. And they're all quite different, but they're all linked in the same way that they're all the same kind of design. I've been using a very tall card for mine. So what we're going to need, well, we're going to need some old roll-off papers. So these are the scrap papers that I have underneath my papers when I'm doing some jelly prints, or if I'm doing something where I'm rolling colour on stuff. I always have a sheet at the side of me where I do rolling off of my brayer or just brushing off on a brush or something if I've got paint left on it. And they tend to make quite a nice background. So I always save my roll-off papers for that. I've also got some small collage scraps. You don't really need a lot for this, but they are handy to have. So the other thing we're going to need is going to be our shiny bit. And the shiny bit is acetate. And the acetate has got some alcohol ink on it. So we're going to be playing around with a little bit of alcohol ink. If you don't have alcohol ink, you could use alcohol markers, things like that, or the Lumograph pens that are used to mark acetate. They also work well for this too. But I have got some alcohol inks, so we're going to have a little play. So what you're going to need is some acetate or some Duralar, clear Duralar, I would say for this. You can get this, you can buy it, or you can get packaging where you've got bits of this left over. I always save any packaging where I've got some plastic so that I can use it for these kinds of things. I've put it on this little backing card so that you'll be able to see it as well. So first of all, I'm going to grab out my alcohol ink. So I've got my alcohol inks out. I've got, these are Jackson's ones, but you can use any that you've got. You could use Arranger ones. You could use, what's the other brand? Jacquard do them. What else? I'm trying to think what I might need. No, I'm just going to go straight in for it. So first of all, you need to remember to shake up your alcohol inks a little bit. Sometimes they've got a ball in them, sometimes they haven't. I'm not sure whether these Jackson's ones have or have not. I'm going to give them a little shake. Right, so I've got acid pink, I've got lime green, I've got acid yellow. I know acid pink and acid yellow are going to go together. Oh, I've got a deep magenta there as well. What's that one? Brilliant fuchsia. Maybe I just go for the lime green. Ooh, I'm not sure. Do I want to do a mix? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to do one sheet for this. So I have also got in this little container, I've got some alcohol, just pure alcohol, not vodka. I'm talking about the 99% kind of stuff. Blending fluid also works in these. In fact, this might be blending solution. It could be an Adirondack blending solution in here. which helps the inks move around. There's going to be a slight drying time for this, so just warn you now that that is going to be part of it. So what do I want to go in with first? Let's go in with some acid yellow, shall we? Let's take you a little bit closer so you can see the action. Hoping there is going to be some action. So I'm just going to... These have got the safety lids on. I'm just going to blob a few drops of this onto my sheet. She said hopefully it will blob. This is not blobbing all that well, but we'll go with it. It'll start to move around. Now on this you want to leave some white space as well, so that it's got room to show through the underneath bits. I'm going to blob a bit over here. That blobbed better. And a bit over here. And I'm going to go acid pink, I think. I've lost my bottle with the green. It may go muddy and I don't want mud. See, that's working the best of all of them. So now what I'm going to do is get my blending solution and drop some in there. And I'll start moving things around, hopefully. And get some kind of weird reactions going on. So I'll drop my blending solution on. Now into the bits where I've got some blending solution, I might just drop another little bit of this fuchsia in. If you're working with alcohol inks, make sure you're working with a mask or in a well ventilated space. I've got all my doors and windows open at the minute. Try not to breathe on everything. I'm going to just drop another bit. Ooh, kind of lost my yellows now. I'm going to go back in there though. I'm going to go back in. Add a bit more yellow in. Why not? Ooh, that was a big squirt of yellow. And what you can do is you can manipulate it by moving it around on your paper, on your acetate. I'm going to be mindful to leave some of those gaps showing through as well. I'm going to see what I've got and then I can add or whatever. So the edges I need to be adding something in. So let me go in with some more yellow. And that pink was nice, wasn't it? Where's my pink gone? There it is, acid pink. Let's have a bit of that. And then a little bit more of the blending solution. Just because, why not? I can never find the pinhole for this. Concentration. Concentrate. There we go. And that's on there now as well. Now the other thing you can do if you want to is blow it around a bit. That's looking nice and pretty now. I've got some alcohol solution now. Let's see if I can blow something into it. There we go. You can use one of those specific blowers if you want to. Yeah, like that. A bit more of that in there, just to move it around a bit. Ooh, I like it when it does that. You can see it moves all the inks out of the way. And get some nice organic shapes going on. Put that lid back on there. So this I would then leave. It needs to be left to dry for a while. So that's a good idea to do something like this when you're not intending to make your greetings cards, but just get this ready in preparation for. So I'm going to pop this on one side and let that dry off. So with your sheet of background paper, as I say, you can just use jelly rolls if you want to, but I've got these because they're not going to get used for anything else. So I have actually had another one here that I've cut up into the size I want it to be. It was this sheet here. It was half of this sheet. You can see where part of it's come from. And I've cut it in the size that I want it to be, which is this size, because I've got long, thin cards. You can obviously cut yours into whatever size you want. Doesn't have to be like this. You can do, for whatever shaped card you have, you could do square ones. I've got very dirty nails because I've been playing with paint. It's not dirt, honestly, it is paint, I promise. So I've got a few of those all ready to roll, like so. And I have also got some dried, wait a minute, these ones here, dried bits of acetate that I have cut up to be almost probably the right size, hope, she said. Now, let me find a piece of paper so that you can actually see what I'm doing on here. So I've picked this one here and I'm just going to add a little bit of interest into it by adding some collage pieces in. So I'm going to get my glue and I'm just going to arrange a few bits on here. I think that's quite nice. I like that. You can rip, you can snip, whatever you want to do, just to add a little bit of interest in to your little backing paper. It's already interesting as it is. That kind of looks like a little bit like a landscape. You know, like the sand and the sea and the sky. Make it whatever you like. What else have I got up here? I have got my hole punch. Sometimes I kind of find that handy to just make a nice circly thing to go on, just to add in some interest. I've got all kinds of things in this little pot. It's got all odds and ends of bits of, nothing gets thrown away. nothing ever gets thrown away. I quite like these odd black and white shapes as well, so I'm going to have a little snippet of that in there as well. Don't need much, you need very little, just to add a bit of interest in. Now, when it's at this stage, you could add in some glitter if you wanted to. That's also an option that you can add in. I'm going to snip that off at the side there. And move my alcoholics out of the way before they get in the way. And I'm going to stick that one on there. This glue is getting beyond the pale. It's been really hot and my glue has all been acting up lately. It's just decided to do one, so we'll carry on and persevere. Right, so I'm looking at my acetate pieces now and I'm going to audition some and see which ones look best on top of this piece. I quite like that one, if you can see that. Look how bright and beautiful that is. Maybe too much for this. Oh, I don't know. I quite like that. Can you see how it changes it? It's a bit like, you know, when you go to the optician, they said, do you like it like that? Or is it better like that? Like that? Or like that? If you've been to the opticians, you'll know what I mean. But I'm kind of losing that circle with that one. So let's try something with less on it. And see, and that's got quite a bit of interest to it. Like that. That's quite nice. So I'm going to choose that one. But just go through and choose the pieces that you like the best. What else have I got to throw in this? Oh, you could do some mark making as well. That's the other thing I was going to say. You could grab a pen of some kind. She said, hopefully, I've got one here. And you can start to add some marks in. You know, if you want to do some mark making. The other thing you could do is use like tissue paper with marks on it already and stick those on because they blend into the background really nicely. I'm just going to see what that looks like now. Oh, I quite like that. That's very nice. Yeah, we'll go with that. Now, when you stick the alcohol ink sheet to the collage sheet, make sure the alcohol ink is on the inside because that will help protect it from being scratched. And I've got this art glitter glue and I'm just going to, on my sheet, I'm just going to make sure that I've got quite a bit of it on there. This dries clear, so you can actually see through it. I'm making sure the edges have all got something on them there, like so. And then this goes on here. You can squidge it all down. So squidge it. If you've got a bit of overhang, don't worry, that can be trimmed off later if you want it to be. So that is my little piece of artwork. Now on this I could also add a little bit of glitz. So let me show you. So you can see now it's drying off. It's looking quite interesting, isn't it? It's got like, I don't know, it feels quite Japanesey to me. I don't know why that is. So I've got a little strip of the glitzy stuff and I just want to add that in for some interest. So I'm going to use this art glitter glue again, which I forgot to put the lid back on. Never mind. You can use some tweezers for placement if you are happier doing that. I'm just going in there with it like that. So I've got my collage part done. Now what I want to do is to mount it onto some, I'm trying to get the lid back in there. I want to put it onto some backing. Now, if you were with me a couple of weeks back, you'd have seen a little haul that I got when I was at Salts Mill, and I got some of the cardy paper that was in a grey colour, and that is what I've been using for these. Got little bits on there off my fingers, dirty fingers. So I've mounted it on a little piece of that. So I'm going to grab some of that out now and show you how I get it to the size I need it to be. So it was these little A7 sheets of cardy paper, which is quite thick, but it's 150 GSM. Also comes in other colours as well, but I really like the grey, and it fits, well, my pieces fit on there really well. Now you're going to ask me, okay, you've got a decal edge there. Yes, and I want to try and retain something similar to that. So what I need to do that is a water brush. So I've got my Doyle water brush here, fine pointed one. Make sure it's not got any bits on it. Make sure it's charged up with some water. And I'm drawing a water line down my cardy paper. What this does is it loosens up the fibres. So I'm putting a fair bit on there. I'm going to show you before it dries. Let me take that off there so you can see I've got a line of water. And then very gently I am going to pull that apart down the line of water. It's not going to be perfect, but then decal edges are not perfect. And if I lay that on there now, I've now got the perfect edging for my card. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip over, back in with the art glitter glue. Wonderful stuff, this. It's also like kind of an instant grab as well. The wind is blowing things around on my desk, for which I am very grateful, because I'm never going to complain about the coolness again. It was really so hot and stifling the past couple of weeks. It's just nice to have that cool wind blowing through the studio, blowing all my pieces everywhere, but I'm not complaining. So stick that down, and you've now got a card topper perfectly on your piece, like so. I'm going to move these out of the way because I don't want them to blow away. I've also lost my pin for my blending solution, so I better stick that back in there really quick. There we go. Right, so all these little bits and pieces I'm going to make some more up with later, because I'm sure you don't want to see that again. I will go through it again, but for now I'm just going to stick them in there. If you haven't got any other card paper, any backing paper will do. You could do straight edges if you like a straight edge border. I quite like a decal edge. It adds a little bit of something to the card. So once it's placed on a card, I never place them centrally either. I think if you put it in the centre, I don't know, it adds much more interest if you place things off centre. That's just me, personal preference, obviously, and I do sign them as well. Now we're going to go in with some dimensional paint, and I have got my dimensional paint from Let's Resin that I am using because it's really rather quite nice, and I want to pick one of the glitzies, so I'm going to go with the metallic gold. So this is dimensional paint. What I suggest you do with this is to grab a small piece of card and test it before you start. Sometimes it can have air bubbles in, but what I suggested on these is if you store them upside down like that instead of like that, then they're always ready to flow. Okay. Again, this is your own personal preference. You don't have to do this. I quite like to add in 5 up there, and then 5 down here. And that kind of finishes that off for me then. And then what I would do is obviously let this dry, but then I would put it onto a greetings card, and sometimes I would use the art glitter glue to do that as well, or sometimes I use some really like strong double-sided tape. So I don't think I've got any on my desk at the minute, but yeah, double-sided tape works really well for adhering things to cards, but you want to make sure it's properly dry before you start playing around with it. So make a few of these, let them dry, and then you can have a whole host of cards. I'm going to put this out of the way before I put something on it, to have in your little card arsenal that you can hand out for different things. Now, if you can see on some of these, I have stitched into them, so we've got some little bits of stitching going on there too. I've also added in some more mark making. You can just add in whatever it is that you like into yours. Just play and have some fun with it. But the stitching just add another element to it. I think it's rather nice. And I've used some pearl cotton for that, for the stitching. It's just a simple green pearl cotton. Whoopsie, there it is, this anchor one there. That's what I used for the stitching on. And yeah, it works out really nicely. And you've got a little piece of artwork. It's a unique to you, original piece of artwork. And yeah, whole host of them there, and I'm sure anybody would be quite happy to get hold of one of those for their birthday or for anniversaries or weddings or whatever you want it to be, because it can be for anything. Anyway, I did promise I would show you how that I put these together, and that is my method for doing that. You can do all kinds of different cards. I've done many in my life. I've always made cards. I've never really bought any. I've always made them. So a little bit of yourself on a card to hand to somebody, it kind of tells them that you spent a little bit of time thinking about it. Anyway, that is enough from me from Cosy Art Club this week. I hope you've enjoyed this little look into how these go together. So just to recap, you need some of the backing sheets, jelly papers, whatever else you have. You'll need some acetate or some Duralar clear. That works as well. A lot more expensive than the acetate, so you choose whichever one you prefer. Especially reclaimed acetate, which you've got off packaging. It's a great thing to use. That's right, I've got another windy gust coming through. Yeah, so this acetate, you need your glue, obviously. You'll need some alcohol inks or the Lumiere. These are the ones I was thinking of, the Lumo Colour Permanent. And they make marks on your acrylic paper. Let me show you, move that out of the way. That over there. And let me snip off a little bit of this acetate. So what you can do is make some marks with these. So these are also cool for adding mark making into your acetate as well. They're not going to move around like the alcohol inks. I'm just wondering what they do if I put a bit of blending solution on them. Interesting to find out. I always like to try things, see what happens. See if it starts to move. Oh, it does, look. So the blending solution actually dilutes and makes things move around, and you could see if it will blow. Oh yeah, it does. So you could use that and the blending solution, that would work. Also the alcohol markers like Copic markers and things like that, all the inks that refill them, they are alcohol inks. So that's another alcohol ink that you could use. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed having a little look at this. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the cards that you can make. I'd love to see what you create, so don't forget to pop along to the Facebook group. Join us if you're not already there and show us what you've been making, because I really do like to see. Anyway, that's enough from me for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it doesn't cost you anything at all, but it does help the algorithm to see that something is occurring here that people are enjoying. Anyway, that's enough from me for now. I'll be back here very soon with something else. Bye for now.